Hello, hello, and welcome back to Soulstar Radio. I'm Jacquelene Close-Moore, and we're live from Australia, right around the world, including the US. And feel welcome, of course, to phone in to try and get your reading. We can get through only so many in the time I'm on air. But I'm, out in the northern suburbs of Melbourne today. I thought I'd be coming to you from my shop, but my schedule's kind of crazy, and so I've had to set you up from home. So I hope you like my garage. It's kind of cool in here. But yes, so I've got someone's written in, and we get a lot of people writing in, and I don't always get the time to write or communicate back on air, but I do really appreciate all of your calls and all of your letters you're writing in, and we're sorry that we can't get to everyone on each show. But I've got Tracy, who's in Adelaide, Australia. And she's written in, and she's got some major problems going on here, both with finances, and I'm just having a look at this letter. Finances, and also with her ongoing academic work, and there's some issues there with personal relationships in that area to do with the people she's having to connect with to get this done. And what I'd really start by saying, Tracy, is that I do feel like last year every stone that could possibly get turned up into another direction and thrown up in the air to juggle has definitely happened. It's really been the last couple of years. It's been really quite tough for you. And I really feel as well, it's like you just feel like you're banging your head against the wall. The frustration is just an understatement. I don't think we can call it frustrated enough, actually. It's just really through the roof here. What I really want to say to you is this next year, you have the opportunity to excel, but it's going to take a lot of patience. And so when we look at your whole situation this year and everything that's going on with it, it's very easy to just go into the angry mode and to stay there and to let that consume you. And it will get in the way of your progress and in the way of how we're dealing with other people. So what I would say to you is, if there's a spiritual church near you or some kind of community-based meditation group where you're not getting charged an arm and a leg, where people are there for each other in a very much a sharing capacity, I feel like that would be the best thing for you to reach out to at the moment, because I do feel that there's a lot of understandable frustration. There's anxiety there. There's absolute sort of being really angry with the situation you're in and the people and what they're doing. But it's really important to go beyond that. And I feel as if that whole vibe is actually getting in the way of your progress to do with how people are responding to you. So if we allow the anger to consume us and to take over what we're doing and to change who we are and change how we're being, then what that does is it then affects how people see us. So we may be getting the pushback, we may be getting the blowback that is holding us back initially, but if we then react to that in an energy of, I hate this whole situation and I'm angry with the world, what starts to happen is that that is then reflected more and more back at us. So the energy we put around us, the approach we take to situations definitely feeds into either that becoming more positive or more negative and inviting more of that same. So I really want you to work hard on looking at each situation and each day for just even one thing that you can look at and say, well, that was pretty good. That was pretty good. And to focus on that. And it doesn't mean going into a blind wishful thinking and over-optimism in a really unrealistic way. What I'm talking about here is taking your energy into a space where you're grateful for the little things, even though there's a lot of stuff going down here and not going your way. And it's completely understandable that could make you feel quite burnt out. It's really important not to give in to that, and instead to very much look to, as I said, the positives in each day. So ways we can do that are going to really be around if you can write down maybe 2 things each day that you're grateful for, and they're not to be the same things each day, because that's not inventive enough. You need to be able to get up in the morning, say, all right, well, today's a new day. Everything that happened yesterday, that's gone. I can't fix that now. I'm doing what I can today. And I'm grateful for this new day to do what I can myself and my situation, irrespective of what other people are reacting with. And so by doing that, you then want to sit there and say, okay, so I'm going to look out for what I can be grateful for today, what I can be happy about, what I can say, well, that's pretty cool. And you just need to find two things. And even if that means that some guy at the supermarket says you go first, well, that's something right there. If you can keep looking to those sorts of things, what will happen is you'll start attracting more of that. And it will start to tip around how it's going and how people are reacting to you. Because if you're coming from that more positive outlook and energy that you're putting into things and view of things, and you're splitting to the positive instead of splitting to the negative, then what's going to happen is that's the reaction people are going to start having with you as well. Because if we allow our frustrations and the things that are getting us down to take over who we are and who we're being, then what starts to happen is that's all we attract. So you notice how some people, everyone looks at them, everyone smiles, and other people, everyone's going, yeah. Get me out of here. So you really want to look at how is it people are reacting to me, and is there anything I can do in my energy space to change that a bit. So that's the sort of thing I'd look at. I would also see if you can get out into nature for some hiking, whether that's in and around forest areas or going to the beach, just to recharge your energy here and to get a bit of a different perspective. I know that's not exactly the practical answer that you're wanting, but it's how to get to all the other practical answers. If we deal with what's happening with your energy, what's happening with your frame of mind, and the way you're responding to things, it's going to be easier to turn the tide on the difficult situation you find yourself in. So that's what I'd really like you to focus on to get where you're going. Have a look even when you're writing things down, even on Facebook or even in the way you're commenting to people. Are you always talking about something positive or something negative? Have a look at that dialogue. Have a look at the dialogue you're even telling yourself. So that's where I'd get you to start, and I'd, where possible, get you to look at meditation, because that's also going to help you to calm your mind a lot more, to get more focused, to get more pointed in the direction you're actually wanting to go, and then there'll be people well and truly that will be there to help you. I don't feel I want to push too much with the place where you're trying to get the change happening. I don't feel I want to push too much with those people or cause further argument or disagreement. I'm instead wanting to harmonise with them as much as possible in the way that you're responding and even in the way you're putting things so that changes. So I'll leave that with you, and I hope that helps you, Tracy. It is a beginning, and certainly I know it has not been easy. It's very easy to be aggressive in those situations, but it's really important not to be. Don't let situations and people change you. So that's what I wanted to say there. So I'll leave that with you, Tracy. And I'm going to now move across. We've got a caller. Yay! We've got Jen in Illinois in the US. Are you there, Jen?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hello and welcome to the show, and thank you so much for calling in. It's really lovely to speak with you. If I can get your date of birth, I can do a reading for you.
Excuse me?
Your date of birth, I can do a reading for you if I get your date of birth.
It's January 5th, 1979.
No worries at all. So with what I get with your energy straight away is that you tend to be quite straight down the line when you're dealing with people, and you really like it if they're doing the same with you, and you'll be very caring in delivering the truth to people, and sometimes you really do have to deliver the truth to them, and it's kind of a role where I would see you helping people see a better direction ahead, or what options they have and how to be realistic about that. You're very much, in a way, a mediator wherever you go. So it's like you're having to, find that middle ground for people in their conversation. So it's a really interesting contrast to the person who wrote in just a moment ago. And I just feel with you that this last year, 2015 particularly, has been really big on reevaluating life, where it's going, what you're doing. Are you happy with this job? Are you happy with the situation you find yourself in? And having to step away from old patterns and situations that are no longer serving, and that not necessarily being an easy thing to do. And when I look at this year, 2016, I feel like we're dealing with home, heart and family. So this is where you'll be dealing with issues around personal relationships and really reevaluating whether your heart's in things, even, down to, do I want to do this particular thing anymore? Is my heart in it? And wanting to evaluate that and really be more nurturing to yourself and take on the things that actually are more nurturing to you and more within your realms of what you feel is right for you. So I really feel like this last couple of years is a big changing time in how you're perceiving things and even how you're communicating with people and under what terms. So I really feel like you've done a lot of work there over the last couple of years. But was there a question you wanted me to look at for you?
I was just wondering if you see like my dad, around me.
I do feel that wherever you go and it's like wherever you go and whatever you do, I do feel that you are very much acting from an energy of integrity, and I feel also that this is a very strong point with your dad. I feel like I'm dealing with a lot of challenge and change that he's had in his life, and I feel as if there's a courage that comes through from him with you. I don't get any sort of strong odours or anything like that like we had last week. We had someone there that really quite strong tobacco, but I don't get any of that with him. I'm really feeling instead that it's kind of a calmer, quieter kind of energy that I get with him. I don't get him as a loud sort of forceful type of person at all. I get him as a gentleman, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah, that makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, because I just don't feel that he, like even in this session here, I don't really feel him forcing his way through to say, oh, and this and that, He's able to influence people in a very calm manner. He's able to get people to sit down and talk about things and to work things out with each other, which is a trait that comes through to you, I feel, in the way you would like to deal with situations and people whenever there's sort of something going on. You're preferring to try to be that calming sort of force as well. And I do feel that's something you have very much in common with each other. There's just a very calm presence with him. I don't feel that, he's sort of running around causing plates to break in the house or anything. So he's sort of very subtle. He's not loud, as I said, in the energy, but I do feel him around you, yes.
Oh, yeah, thanks. I love that.
Yes,
really
absolutely.
do.
And can you relate to what I was saying before about you being at times having to be the peacemaker? This is something, it's like that both of you have that in common quite a bit here.
Oh, yeah, I see that. I think I've seen it more after his passing than before.
Absolutely, because there's a lot of traits that you share, and it's interesting because 5 in the tarot is actually the Hierophant card, and so we're dealing with it's usually drawn as a male, and it's drawn as like a spiritual leader and spiritual moderator, and someone that can negotiate and adjudicate in situations. I just got told that it's like 2 women in the family could really argue quite well with each other. He's able to calm that down, and he's saying that you've got that same effect now, and definitely it was always in you to learn that, and having him as a father has helped you do that. And mind you, I do think that if he did get suitably riled, I do think that he could end an argument, even though he wouldn't have started it. But I do feel most of the time he's quite calm in there, and a very, very loving presence. But what a gentleman. He's such a nice presence. He's not... it's like he's been around other people who are quite, at times, crude. And this may have been in his working environment, that some people could be quite crude and, men talk type thing. But I don't feel that he ascribed to that at all. I feel like he was like, all about having respect for women, respect for each other, and that's something that carries through as very strong energy coming through to you, but also he's talking about respect not being forced. It's not something you can demand, and this is something you and him both know. Respect is something that you imbue by example, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. I mean, that you just pretty much defined him.
Yeah, he's a beautiful soul. I'm never good with names, even with living people. Can I ask what his name was?
His name was Donald.
No wonder, because I was thinking of Donald Trump, and I'm going, no, he's nothing like Donald Trump. Why am I thinking of the orange one? And I think your Donald would be very, not so happy with the Donald, and complete opposite Donald. And if only your Donald was running around inside the Donald's head, I think we'd have a very different scenario right now. Maybe you could come and teach him something.
He's a complete opposite of my dad.
Thank you, Donald, for throwing me that one. But was there another question you wanted me to look at for you?
How do you see year 2017 for me?
I feel like we're really dealing with this next year. There's going to be a lot of powerful impact for you that you can make with people, and I really feel there's a lot of you having to be very calm, cool, collected about boundaries with people, and I feel like I am in the workplace or the public space rather than the home space, and having to negotiate new terms, but I feel like I'm doing that on behalf of other people for some reason. And when I'm looking at on the home front, it's like you get to have a bit more quiet time to yourself in some ways. It's like you're going to take that time for yourself, even if it doesn't seem possible at the moment. It's like you're going to get that quiet time and you're going to get to, reevaluate the journey so far. And I feel like you're opening up more and more on a spiritual level as we're going along, and next year is certainly no exception to that. It's like that next year is really going to open for you. And I feel like we're leaving past disappointments behind next year. It's like you've really, over the last 2 years, really looked at the past disappointments and said, it's like, really feeling it.
Yeah.
And whereas next year it's like, yep, okay, I've got a spring in my step. I'm just going to move on out here and I'm going to keep going. And I just feel like it's more energy to do that. I really feel like you've forced yourself to look at the positive in situations, and I feel like that's really giving you a new lease of life here. So that's how I'm seeing this one. I do feel as if we're having to tell a couple of people, and I do feel they're younger and male, that something's not quite appropriate. So I'm not quite sure what that's about. I'm not sure if you'd even relate to that right now, but that is the message I get relating to next year, having to tell, it seems to me like two younger men, and having to tell them that's not quite appropriate and put some boundaries in there. Does that make sense to you at all yet?
No, not yet.
Not yet. Now, I'm putting in yet there because I'm confident in this being something we don't even know about yet, and yet. So next year is going to be when that makes a lot more sense, but it's something I was seeing very clearly. And I do feel that, we're not going to relate to it at the moment. We will get it next year. But really, as I said, there's some need for you to take more time for yourself and to be able to take time out in meditation as well, to be able to recollect your thoughts and really be able to say, yep, okay, and now I can shift forward. So I'm seeing you putting a lot of energy into that, even towards the end of this year and the start of next year. It's like you've got to sit there and say, all right, so what's important to me now on actually your spiritual journey, if that makes sense to you?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
it really does.
So it's
and I actually sat there and said that 2017 is going to be a calm, decent year for me, that I want to start fresh.
There you go. We're corroborating each other. I do like it when a good plan comes together, even though it's not my plan, because I really, when I'm speaking to you, I really don't know what I'm about to say sometimes, because sometimes we're dealing with, that clear channeling energy. Sometimes it's clairvoyant, sometimes it's clairsentient, and sometimes it's claircognizant. We don't know why we know, but we know. So sometimes the answers are channeling through. And the reason I go into that detail is because that's what I feel like you do quite a bit of and in certain parts of your life, and it's gotten you in trouble with your family, I can see. And it's been really quite hilarious because, oh dear, did I mean to say that? Because, and it's been exactly what's been needed to be heard. And sorry, I was just watching a spirit walking past. Anyway, I thought we were fine in here. But anyway, so, you know, I do feel with you that sometimes you don't know why you know, but you know. And when you know that someone's up to something, there is no hiding it. So it is really important for people not to try lying to you. You've heard it first here worldwide. Don't lie to Jen in Illinois, okay? All listeners, just remember that one. But you know,
I love that.
And you know when someone's lying, don't you?
Yeah, I get just like a sense, like, you know, just a feeling.
Well, what I want you to do next time someone lies to you, particularly if you know them really well, what I want you to do next time, and this is a great game for any psychic listening, is to, as they're lying to you, what you want to do is take a deep breath, and you then go, and you raise one eyebrow, tilt the head, and look at the mister, go, and then you could even say, now, that doesn't sound quite right, does it? And just see their reaction.
I'm going to try that.
It's a lot of fun.
Just to see what they're going to say.
It's fun with children, and it's the stuff that our grandmothers would have done, particularly yours and mine. And it's a fun thing to do because then the kids go, oh my God, she knows. Oh, I'm going to run away now and come back later and admit what happened. And I'll never do it again. So it can be really good at helping people, you know, particularly if they, you know, if they're adults acting like children. You know, it can be kind of a funny thing to do. Another one I would use is, you know, to do the same look and the same reaction and go, okay then, you know, while nodding the head, while really looking like you don't believe a word they're saying, and then to just walk off and let them think about that. Because sometimes coming out right and saying, now you're actually lying, well, everyone thinks of lying and they immediately get on the defensive and feel like it's a shameful thing. Yeah, okay, it kind of is. But, you know, if we treat it with that humour, it helps them lighten up and go, all right, I've been sprung, I better not do that again, rather than I'm going to now get angry because I've been cornered. So I do think that might come quite in handy over this next year. And particularly we've just got to watch with you when you're in next year's energy of a 7, people can misinterpret what you're saying. And you can also find that you have to take a step back for a moment to really take on board what they meant, because I do feel what's happening with you is you're starting to get more and more aware of when someone is you know, saying something that their head believes but their heart really doesn't. So I really feel like it's going to be important for you to really work on that, I guess, sense of you know, being able to you know, call it out, but in a way that doesn't make them attack you.
Actually, I mean, with you saying that, I've done that a couple times where, you know, I'm just like, and I just look at them and I kind of give them like a little smirk and I just walk away.
Yeah, that is the best thing to do, because then they will always wonder, but they won't try that on you so soon next time. And it does get people to think about what they're doing without it becoming an awful confrontation. And I think that sometimes, and it's really interesting because you are in such a situation that's quite the opposite to the first reading I've done today. And there's a lot that your example can teach that person as well at this point in time in how to deal with their situation. So, you know, and any listeners, if you're finding yourself just at that point where, you know, I'd like to really go through them. Just take on board Jen's kind of vibe here of, do you know what? It's not my fault that they are an idiot. You know, I accept that they are an idiot. They're choosing to be an idiot at the moment. They probably aren't usually an idiot, but they are being one right now. But I'm not going to tell them they're an idiot. I'm just going to go, and maybe say, well, you might want to think about that, or how about we talk about that next week? So this is sort of, it's a really good approach, and I do think you're going to really need it next year, and particularly that whole thing of having to go into your own space a lot more, because what's happening is your spirituality is really opening up a lot more, and so you're hearing the truth in what people are saying a lot more, but it's all about how to deal with truth in a way that doesn't get people on the defensive. So it's about how to keep that communication open and friendly, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah, it does. Interesting.
It really does. But you could run conflict resolution classes, I think. But I'd like to thank you so much for calling in there, Jen from Illinois. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you today. And thank you also to Tracy in Australia for writing in as well. And you'll be able to catch us next week. Same bat time, same bat channel on Soulstar Radio. If you're wanting to connect and have a reading, you can write in and you can go onto the Soulstar Radio website. Just go onto the Ask One Radio website and click through from there on the link, or go to soulstar.media. If you're on Facebook, you can find us on Facebook/Soulstar Radio. I look forward to connecting with you next week. In the meantime, am I going to sing it? That's the question. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands.